Imagine standing on the edge of the Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh, India, staring out at a landscape that has been missing its heartbeat for nearly 8 decades. For 75 years, the fastest land animal on the planet was a ghost in this country, a legend whispered about in history books but nowhere to be found in the tall grass. But everything changed when a custom-painted cargo plane touched down, carrying 8 sleek, spotted predators all the way from Africa. This wasn't just a simple animal relocation. It was the first time in human history a large carnivore was moved across continents to be reintroduced into the wild. The world held its breath, wondering if these cheetahs could survive in a land that had forgotten them. But what happened next wasn't just about survival. As soon as those 8 cheetahs stepped out into the Indian sun, they triggered a biological chain reaction that turned the local forests upside down. We aren't just talking about a few successful hunts. We are talking about an insane environmental transformation that is rewriting the rules of Indian conservation. Today we are diving into the heart of the Cheetah Project to see how 8 animals managed to reshape an entire forest ecosystem and why their presence is causing a massive shift in how nature works in the subcontinent. To understand why this is such a big deal, you have to realize that the cheetah holds a unique place in Indian history. It is the only large mammal to have gone completely extinct in India since its independence. While tigers and lions get all the glory, the cheetah was the specialized predator of the open grasslands and the scrub forests. When they disappeared, a vital gear in the great Indian nature machine just stopped turning. For 75 years, the grasslands grew unchecked, and the balance of prey animals like the cheetah and the blackbuck became skewed. The forests of Kuno became heavy and silent. But the arrival of the 8 pioneers changed everything in an instant. The moment the cheetahs were released into their sprawling acclimation zones, the first thing they did was reclaim their role as the speed regulators of the forest. In an ecosystem without a high-speed predator, prey animals tend to get comfortable. They don't move as much, they overgraze specific areas, and they lose that edge of constant awareness. But the cheetah is a tactical genius. Unlike the tiger, which relies on heavy cover and ambush, the cheetah needs space to sprint. As soon as the cheetahs started patrolling the Kuno landscape, the herds of deer and antelope realized the rules of the game had fundamentally changed. This created what scientists call a landscape of fear. Now, don't let the name fool you. A landscape of fear is actually a very healthy thing. It means the prey animals are constantly on the move, which prevents them from destroying any single patch of vegetation. For the first time in 3/4 of a century, the grasses of Kuno were allowed to recover, leading to a massive boost in plant diversity. But the insane part of this story is how the forest itself began to respond to the cheetah's presence. You see, cheetahs are what we call umbrella species. By protecting and providing for them, you inadvertently save thousands of other smaller creatures. To make the forest cheetah-friendly, the Indian government had to undertake a massive restoration project. They removed invasive thorny bushes that had choked the open plains in the cheetah's absence. They restored the ancient waterholes and ensured the grasslands were pristine. Because of these 8 cheetahs, the entire structural integrity of the Kuno forest was upgraded. Suddenly, ground-nesting birds that hadn't been seen in years began to reappear because the grass was finally at the right height. Rare insects and pollinators flooded back into the area because the floral diversity exploded. It was a total system reboot triggered by just 8 individuals. The human element of this story is just as fascinating. Imagine being a villager living on the edge of a forest that suddenly becomes home to the fastest animals on Earth. There was a lot of anxiety at first. People were worried about their livestock and their safety. But the Indian government did something remarkable. They turned the local community into cheetah mitras, or cheetah friends. They educated thousands of people on how to coexist with these big cats. The cheetahs actually became a source of immense pride. Instead of seeing the forest as a place of danger, the local communities began to see it as a world-class destination. This shift in human perception is one of the most important parts of the project. When people value the forest survives. The cheetahs didn't just change the trees and the grass, they changed the hearts of the people living next to them. As the cheetahs began to explore further, the interactions with other predators became the talk of the scientific community. Kuno is also home to leopards, and the relationship between these 2 spotted cats is legendary. Leopards are the heavyweights, the muscle of the forest, while cheetahs are the lightweight sprinters. Everyone expected a massive conflict. But what actually happened was a masterclass in niche partitioning. The cheetahs cleverly used the open areas where the leopards didn't like to go. and they adjusted their hunting times to avoid the leopard's peak hours. This proved that the Indian forest had enough room for both. It showed that the ecosystem was much more resilient and adaptable than anyone had predicted. The cheetahs weren't intruders. They were the missing puzzle piece that finally fit back into place. One of the most heart-stopping moments of the project was the birth of the first cheetah cubs on Indian soil in over 7 decades. When the news broke that one of the females, Sayaya, had given birth to 4 healthy cubs, the entire nation celebrated. It was the ultimate proof of concept. It meant the air, the water, and the prey in India were suitable for the next generation. These cubs weren't just cute. They were biological gold. They represented the future of the species in Asia. Seeing those tiny, fuzzy honey badger mimics tumbling through the Indian grass was a visual confirmation that the forest had successfully accepted its original occupants back. The logistics of this operation were mind-blowing. Think about the paperwork alone. You have to navigate international treaties, health clearances, and the complex politics of 2 different continents. Then you have the physical challenge of moving 8 high-strung, sensitive animals across thousands of miles. They had to be kept at a specific temperature, monitored by vets every hour, and transported in custom-made crates that allowed them to stand up and move around. When they finally touched down in India, it was like the arrival of a group of rock stars. The cheetah plane has become an icon of modern conservation. But why the long wait? Why did it take 75 years? The truth is, bringing back an extinct species is incredibly expensive and risky. There were years of debate about whether the African cheetah was a good substitute for the lost Asiatic cheetah. While they are slightly different subspecies, their role in the environment is identical. The decision to go ahead with African cheetahs was a bold move that prioritized ecological function over genetic perfection. The goal wasn't just to have cheetahs in a zoo. It was to have the job of a cheetah being performed in the wild again. And looking at the Kuno forests today, it's clear that the African cheetahs are doing a fantastic job. The impact on the local economy has also been a shocker. Tourism to the region has skyrocketed. A place that was once a quiet backwater is now on the global map. This creates a virtuous cycle. The more people visit to see the cheetahs, the more money goes into the local economy, which leads to more support for the park, which leads to better protection for the animals. The cheetahs are essentially paying for their own protection just by existing. They are an economic engine disguised as a big cat. This model is being watched by conservationists all over the world who want to bring back lost species to their own countries. What the cheetahs did to the forest's nightlife was another unexpected twist. Because cheetahs are primarily diurnal, meaning they hunt during the day, they didn't compete with the nocturnal predators like hyenas and jackals. In fact, their presence actually helped these scavengers. A cheetah is a very clean eater, but they often get intimidated away from their meals by larger animals. This leaves high-quality food for the scavengers of the forest. The hyena population in Kuno has seen a noticeable stabilize, as they now have a more regular source of leftovers to find. It's another example of how one animal's routine supports an entire neighborhood of others. The project also faced significant criticism and hurdles. There were moments of high tension when some of the animals fell ill, or when they wandered close to human settlements. Every time a cheetah coughed, it was front-page news. This level of scrutiny is unheard of in most conservation projects. But the team of Indian and international experts stayed the course. They used state-of-the-art GPS collars to track every single move. If a cheetah wandered too far, a retrieval team was ready to spring into action. This high-tech monitoring turned Kuno into one of the most watched forests in the world, ensuring that any issues were caught before they became disasters. As the years pass, the goal is to expand the cheetah population to other parks across India. Kuno is just the launchpad. Scientists are already looking at places like the Gandhi Sagar Sanctuary as the next potential home. The idea is to create a meta-population, a series of connected groups that can exchange genes and ensure the long-term survival of the species. If this succeeds, India will be the only country in the world to host all of the big 5 cats: the tiger, the lion, the leopard, the snow leopard, and now the cheetah. It would be a crowning achievement for global conservation. The story of the 8 cheetahs is also a story of biological time travel. By introducing these predators, India has effectively wound back the clock on its ecosystems. It is a rare example of us actually gaining nature rather than losing it. In a world where we are constantly hearing about species disappearing, The Cheetah Project is a loud, fast, and spotted message of hope. It tells us that with enough political will, scientific expertise, and public support, we can right the wrongs of the past. We can bring the extinct back to life in our landscapes. The insane transformation of the forest is ultimately about the power of a top-down approach. When you fix the top of the food chain, the effects trickle down to the very soil, the way the soil holds water, the way the seeds are dispersed, and the way the carbon is stored in the trees. All of these things are influenced by the presence of a large predator like the cheetah. By bringing back the 8, India didn't just bring back a cat. It brought back a process of movement, of selection, and of balance that had been missing for generations. The trackers who live with these animals day in and day out tell stories of incredible individual personalities. There's the adventurous male who loves to explore the boundaries of the park, and the cautious female who is a master of blending into the golden grass. These aren't just statistics. They are characters in a real-life drama that is unfolding in real time. Their struggle to adapt to the Indian monsoon, the local prey, and the competing predators is the greatest nature story of our time, and so far they are winning. The project has also inspired a new generation of Indian scientists. Young biologists are flocking to Kuno to study everything from cheetah scat to the movement patterns of the grasshoppers in the restored plains. This cheetah effect on academia is ensuring that India will be a leader in wildlife science for decades to come. The 8 cheetahs have become professors in a living laboratory, teaching us things about ecology that we could never learn from a textbook. As the sun sets over the Kuno National Park, you might catch a glimpse of a long, thin silhouette moving through the shadows. It's a sight that no one in India saw for 75 years. It's a sight that symbolizes a nation's commitment to its natural heritage. Those 8 cheetahs, and the many who will hopefully follow them, are more than just fast cats. They are the guardians of the forest, the gardeners of the grassland, and the pioneers of a new way of living with the wild. The forest of Kuno is no longer heavy or silent. It is vibrating with the energy of a predator that is built for speed. It is a forest that is being actively managed by the animals themselves. The grasses are healthier, the deer are more alert, and the ecosystem is more robust. All of this because we decided that 75 years of absence was long enough. The insane results in the forest are just nature's way of saying thank you for bringing the family back together. This mission is a reminder that the wild is not a static thing. It's a living, breathing entity that needs all its parts to function. When we remove a piece, the whole thing suffers. But when we put it back, the recovery can be breathtakingly fast. The 8 Asian cheetahs, well, African cheetahs in an Asian home, have shown us that the future of our planet doesn't have to be one of constant loss. It can be a future of restoration, of bold experiments, and of the incredible, high-speed return of the legends of the wild. So, whenever you hear about the extinction crisis, think about Kuno. Think about those 8 spotted pioneers and the insane things they are doing to the forests of India. It's a story that is still in its early chapters, but the beginning has been nothing short of miraculous. The cheetah is back, the forest is alive, and the fastest story on Earth is just getting started. Stay focused on the horizon, because if you blink, you might just miss the most incredible comeback in the history of nature. The 8 have paved the way, and now the path is open for a whole new era of the wild. India has reclaimed its spots, and the world is a faster, better place for it. The success of the cheetahs in India is a beacon for other nations. From the reintroduction of wolves in Europe to the return of jaguars to parts of the Americas, the lesson from Kuno is clear. Nature is ready to heal if we just give it the right tools. Those 8 cheetahs were the tools, and the masterpiece they are creating in the Indian forest is a legacy that will last long after the 75 years of silence are a distant memory. The forest is loud, the cheetahs are fast, and the future is looking very bright indeed.